You ever have one of those mornings where you're just cruising, coffee in hand, laptop open, ready to tackle the day, and then suddenly your whole week gets turned upside down by something you never saw coming? Yeah, that was me last Tuesday. I was just sitting at my usual spot by the window in our cramped office, eyeballs glued to some gnarly code, when my inbox pinged with a calendar invite. Meeting with Mark and HR, 3 p.m. Now that might not sound like a big deal, but for me, it felt like spotting a shark fin in a kiddie pool. Meetings with Mark, my boss, were usually the routine check-ins, talk through progress, tee up next steps, high five over a bug fixed. Nothing to write home about. This one was different because it wasn't on my calendar until that morning, and it included Laura from HR. That alone had my brain buzzing. HR involvement usually screams either bad news or some sort of corporate curveball they want you to catch before you realize what's happening. So yeah, I was curious, but mostly nervous. What would they want? Did I miss a deadline? Was there some surprise performance review waiting to drop like a bomb? Or was this, heaven forbid, a we need to talk about your future here kind of convo? Spoiler alert, I was leaning towards the not-so-great options. Jenny, the coworker who's basically my partner in crime at work, noticed the sudden change in my mood by late morning. She's the kind of person who can read me like an open code file, and trust me, that's not always a good thing. She sidled up with that half smile she gets when she's about to say something serious but also kind of funny. "You look like you just realized you left your phone in the fridge," she said, nudging my elbow. "What's up?" I shrugged, trying to play it cool but failing miserably. Got this weird meeting invite that popped up. Mark and HR, no details. Feels like a weird sequel to the meeting that shall not be mentioned. Jenny laughed, a sound that always makes the office a little less gray. "Oh, that? Could be anything. Maybe they want to appoint you the new office snack coordinator or something." "Yeah, right," I muttered. "Or maybe it's the corporate version of horror stories. You know, we're pleased to offer you a new, extra workload." She nodded, then leaned in like she was about to share state secrets. "Honestly, I've heard whispers, but you probably won't get the full picture till you're in that room." And there it was, the bait, the uncertainty, that jittery mix of dread and excitement. Because honestly, have you noticed how the human brain does cartwheels around the unknown? More so when it involves your job, your livelihood, and in my case, a paycheck you really enjoy spending on late-night pizza. So I sat there staring at the clock, willing time to move faster while convincing myself it was probably nothing. Just a routine check, or maybe a promotion, or a polite way to say, "Congrats, you're now in charge of cleaning the office fish tank." When 3 p.m. finally rolled around, I walked over to the conference room with this weird cocktail of emotions swirling inside. I felt like I was about to step onto a stage I didn't audition for. What happened next? Well, it's definitely not the usual office meeting story, and honestly, it left me speechless for good reasons and bad. But that, my friends, is where the story really begins. So, before getting to the dreaded, or maybe exciting, meeting, let me fill you in on what my daily grind looked like. I'm a software developer, which sounds kinda cool until you realize I'm what you'd call mid-tier. Not the fresh-faced newbie who gets all the shiny perks, but also nowhere near the high-up guys bragging about their latest stock options at the fancy office parties. Basically, I was stuck in that odd place where I knew my code enough to not totally embarrass myself, but not enough to really stand out. My boss, Mark, was one of those guys who seemed supportive, I guess. Like you could approach him when you hit a wall, and he'd give you a nod or a quick tip. But he was also kind of distant. Not the kind to pop by your desk for a quick chat or drop in with a, "Hey, great job on that bug fix." More like the type who sends you a thumbs-up emoji in Slack and calls it a day. Now, Jenny was the exact opposite of Mark in terms of energy. She's this vibrant, always moving tornado of a coworker, quick with sarcasm, always armed with a coffee cup and a smirk. Over time, she became more than just the person next to me in the cubicle. She was my office buddy, the one who'd listen to me rant about code that just refused to behave. On that particular Tuesday, as we hovered around the communal coffee machine, she dropped some subtle hints that really got my brain spinning. "Did Mark say anything weird to you lately?" she asked, one eyebrow raised like she was about to uncover some juicy secret. I shrugged. "Not really. Just the usual, keep your head down and let's ship this sprint." Jenny tapped her chin thoughtfully. You're telling me there's a meeting with him in HR, but no heads up? Feels like they're cooking something. Either it's a secret project or something more. Something more? Something more?" I chuckled nervously, wondering if she had psychic skills or just insider gossip. She shrugged again, voice dropping a notch. "You know how these companies are. Either they want to promote you or they want you out. No middle ground." That last part landed like a ton of bricks. My mind immediately spiraled through every possible scenario. Was I being tested, set up, or maybe, just maybe, offered a shot I hadn't even imagined? I tried not to overthink it, but Jenny's tone had that curious mix of excitement and anxiety that told me she was half hoping for fireworks but worried about the fallout. She's always been like that, one part cheerleader, one part cautious strategist. Walking back to my desk, I stared at my calendar, repeatedly refreshing the invite, trying to decode any hidden message behind the simple line. Meeting with Mark and HR, 3 p.m. No agenda, no clues, just that cold, clinical reminder. Meanwhile, a tiny voice in my head, the kind that sounds suspiciously like me, kept whispering, "What if you mess this up? What if this is some corporate buzzsaw and you're about to get shredded?" Yep, pretty much the opposite of confidence. By midday, Jenny was circling my desk more than usual, dropping ambiguous comments that felt like breadcrumbs but no clear path. "Just remember, if you start sweating, it's totally normal," she said with a sly grin. Sweating? Great. More reasons to panic, I muttered, glancing at my keyboard as if it would suddenly give me the right answers. She laughed softly. "Look, whatever happens, you've got this. Plus, if things get weird, I'm right here for the postmortem." Her mix of support and secretive hints only made me more curious and anxious. Was this offer a magic key to the next stage of my career, or a trap door swinging open beneath me? Either way, I knew one thing: come 3 p.m., everything was about to change. Maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, but definitely for something. And let me tell you, that kind of tension, it's exhausting. But hey, who said career shifts came with dull, predictable meetings, right? The conference room felt colder than usual when I stepped in, even though it was smack in the middle of a busy afternoon. I took a seat next to Mark, whose usual calm demeanor seemed slightly stretched, like he was trying to squeeze into a pair of jeans 2 sizes too small. Laura from HR sat across from me, clipboard in hand, face unreadable as she shuffled some papers. "Thanks for coming on such short notice," Laura began, her tone that careful blend of professional and vague that instantly sets off alarms. "We wanted to discuss some potential new directions for your role here." Uh-huh. New directions. Sounds almost like they mean, "We're about to turn your desk into a shrine and say goodbye." Or maybe, "Congrats, you're about to become the company's new secret weapon." My brain was doing somersaults. Mark glanced at me, offering a small nod. "We've been reviewing the team's structure, and there's an opportunity that might be a good fit for you." I blinked. "Okay. What kind of opportunity?" Trying to keep my voice steady felt like asking a cat to take a bath, awkward and doomed. Laura answered, "Before we go into specifics, we really want to hear your take on how you see your career developing here. Your skills, your ambitions, all of it." She smiled, but it was one of those smiles that feels like polite spiderwebbing. You can't tell if you're caught or about to be trapped. I swallowed hard. I guess I'm open to growth, challenges, not dying of boredom." Mark chuckled softly, but there was a flicker in his eyes, a secret I wasn't meant to see yet. Laura nodded approvingly, then dropped a line that made my heart do a weird hop. "We're considering you for a lead role on a new project. It's high profile, kind of a big deal." Wait, what? Lead role? That's not just a smidge outside my current lane, it's a full-on marathon in sneakers that have never seen a track. But then Laura added, "It would require some relocation, not far a satellite office a few blocks away, but it's a shift." I blinked, trying to process. "Relocation? Satellite office?" Mark spoke up then, voice a little softer. "It's part of our expansion plan. The new office will focus on a different set of clients, more dynamic, faster pace." Jenny's words suddenly echoed in my head. Secret project or something more. But why was I only hearing half the story? Before I could ask, the door creaked open. In walked Aaron, a guy from senior management who usually appeared only during company-wide presentations or when the printer was jammed beyond repair. His timing was suspicious enough to set off the office gossip alarm in my brain. "Sorry to barge in," Aaron said, smiling like he knew something absolute chaos might be waiting inside this room, "but I thought you should hear it from me directly." I looked at Mark, who looked just as confused as I felt. Aaron took a deep breath. "There's been a restructuring, and with it, a reshuffling of key positions. We're offering a pilot program for selected employees to step into hybrid roles, part development, part client liaison." Hybrid roles? Now we're poking the bear with a question mark stick. He continued, "This means more responsibility, more visibility, but also, potentially, more scrutiny." Lovely. The more scrutiny part felt like the giant-sized neon warning sign flashing above my head. Mark interjected, "We think you're a strong candidate, but it's not a decision to take lightly." Laura nodded vigorously as if she'd been waiting all day just to do that. Jenny's half-smile now made sense. She wasn't just being coy or quirky. She knew the office rumor mill was about to explode and that I was smack in the middle of it. As I sat there absorbing this sudden flurry of news, my head buzzed. Was this promotion a genuine step forward? Or was I being set up as the company's guinea pig in some risky experiment? The room felt smaller, the stakes bigger, and the path ahead foggier than any code bug I'd ever battled. And just as I was about to voice a question, something that might clear the air or make it thicker, the door clicked softly behind me, sealing the moment with that uncanny quiet tension that only deep uncertainty can bring. So, here's where things took a sharp left turn. One of those moments where you realize neither you nor your boss really saw the full picture coming. Aaron took a breath, looking like he was about to drop the mic. The hybrid role is actually part of a pilot program to test a new team structure we've been brainstorming for months. You wouldn't just be leading projects, you'd be bridging the gap between development and client relations. Sort of a translator, advocate, and problem solver rolled into one. Okay, so that sounded way cooler than extra workload, but it also screamed walking a tightrope over a pit of fire. Still, the idea of stepping up wasn't bad. It was something new, something different, something that broke that mid-tier monotony I'd been stuck in. Mark glanced at me like he was both proud and a little worried. Honestly, this came from executives' hunch more than anything. It's uncharted territory for all of us. We think you've got the right temperament, but, well, it's a big ask. Meanwhile, Laura chimed in with her usual HR polish. We wanted you to hear it formally before making any moves. The pilot's timeline is flexible, and support will be provided, but it will impact your daily routine and how you work with the team. I nodded slowly, feeling the weight settle on my shoulders, but also that flicker of excitement I hadn't felt in a long time. It was a chance, no doubt. A gamble, sure, but maybe one worth taking. Later that day, Jenny found me nursing a lukewarm coffee at the break room. She gave me that smirk that now felt like a told you so mixed with genuine excitement. So, what's the verdict? Going to be the office's new Swiss Army knife? I laughed, shaking my head. It's wild. Part of me is jazzed. The other part is freaking out about messing it all up. She leaned closer, dropping the voice down a notch. Look, this could change everything. You're standing here, how they see you, even your resume. But it's also no walk in the park. You ready to roll the dice? I shrugged, still processing. Guess I don't have a choice now, do I? Weeks rolled by, with me juggling code sprints and client calls, walking that tightrope between tech talk and business jargon. It was exhausting, humbling, sometimes thrilling, and often confusing. The team looked at me differently, not quite sure if I was their hero or just the guy who got promoted to carry everyone else's problems. Mark started popping by more often, more casual, sometimes laughing at a bad joke or asking how I was really holding up. Laura checked in with those surveys and feedback forms, reminding me I wasn't alone in this. And Jenny? Well, she was the cheerleader and the prankster, reminding me to breathe and, most importantly, not to take myself too seriously. But here's the kicker. Even now, sitting in the thick of this new role, I catch myself wondering if I made the right call. Was I ready? Did the company really know what it was asking of me? Or was this some corporate experiment destined to fizzle? Truth is, no one really knows how these things turn out until you're right in the middle, juggling surprises like flaming torches. Well, what do you think? Ever been thrown into a completely unexpected role or decision and had to decide whether to run or embrace the chaos? I'm still figuring it out myself, but hey, at least it's never boring, right?